How do we stand the suffering of life? How do we stand it that our loved ones die? How do we stand it that we go on living, or that we're sick, or that we're in pain, or any of those things? Medicine is all about narrative. Medicine is about storytelling. I come in, I'm sick, I say to my doctor, oh, I've got this pain, I've had it for a week, here's what happened first, here's what happened second. It's a story that I'm telling. And that's what literature, of course, is all about, is storytelling. And I think writing those stories, it certainly doesn't fix them, but it gives us a way to kind of control that chaos.
How can we ever really understand what veterans have gone through? And how can we better support them when they return home? The Literature and Medicine program was developed by the Maine Humanities Council to support healthcare professionals in their work with their patients. And now there are over 25 states that have partnered with them who are also doing this program. Here at Cal Humanities, we've decided to implement this program specifically in VA hospitals to work with one of our most vulnerable populations, which are veterans. This is a new holistic way of looking at patient care. Doctors, nurses, administrative staff come together and they read works of literature, whether it's fiction, poetry, or nonfiction, and they do this with the help of a trained facilitator.
I was looking for the literature and medicine course to be focused on how we can be better practitioners and take care of our patients, and really what I found was just understanding where the veterans come from make us a better caregiver.
In Tim O'Brien's book, he talks about a soldier who was angry about a buddy of his who was killed, and he ends up torturing and killing a water buffalo. And it's just an incredibly sad story, and one that really touched me really deeply because of how many times I've heard veterans talk about these things they did, and they carry a lot of shame about it many, many years later.
People accommodate to their experiences very differently. Some people want to tell every person they meet about that time they had to bail out of their airplane and in Romania, and they ended up as a POW during World War II. And other people will never tell you what happened to them in Vietnam.
We're really concerned about patients waking up from anesthesia and being very disoriented. There's people around them, they're feeling smothered, there's lights in their face. It brings back a lot of triggers. When you hit the doors for surgery, everything's on a clock, so there's not a lot of what I call warm fuzzy time. Having that awareness around the OR surgery environment, those of us that are providing patient care, we have a feeling of how to respond without frightening them more. I'm not sure I had that same in-depth thought process that I have now after reading some of these passages.
It is difficult, if not impossible, to develop cultural competence without open discussions, and that group gives us that opportunity.
So this program also helps caregivers better understand and communicate with their peers.
We're here a lot. This is not easy work. There's a lot of stress here. If we have each other's support, we can get through it, and we can get through it in a healthy way. Burnout is a terrible thing for a provider, and feeling neglected is a terrible thing for a veteran.
A good piece of fiction, in my view, does not offer solutions. Good stories deal with our moral struggles, our uncertainties, our dreams, our blunders, our contradictions, our endless quest for understanding. Good stories do not resolve the mysteries of the human spirit, but rather describe and expand upon those mysteries. And that's what the humanities do. That's why we read, to have these things expanded in our mind, to have a greater understanding, have a dialogue about them. It's the dialogue that's the really important part.